Hey guys, Nick from the podcast here. Now, if you've been watching the channel for the last week or so, you probably noticed that we're running more video content on the channel now. And personally, I'm incredibly glad that more of our community is getting into the side of FTW. Ultimately, I believe the more people talking positively about anything to do with wrestling, the better the whole industry will be, especially for us, the fans. A part of that, I think, includes widening the scope from TNA and the WWE, because they're really only two companies out of hundreds. Now, we've mentioned various indie promotions on the show from time to time, but we never really get that deep into them. And now and again, we do get questions about why we don't cover Ring of Honor. The answer we've always given, and the answer we probably will give for the foreseeable future, is that we as a group don't regularly watch the product. Uh, Out of all of us, I'm probably the guy that watches ROH the most, but even I don't do so regularly, given that one, it's not available in my area, and two, I can't always set time aside for watching it online. Even so, I firmly believe that the more wrestling that's in the public eye, the better we all are as wrestling fans. So to that end, I figured that we should introduce you to some of the better promotions out there, indie wise. And since we're already talking about Ring of Honor, we'll go ahead and kick things off with that. Now, typically, the people that are on top in a promotion are the title holders, and that's a good place to start. So let's start with the world title holder, Jay Briscoe. A lot of people, even if you're not a regular ROH watcher, will be familiar with the name the Briscoe Brothers. Jay is one half of that tag team, and as one half of that tag team, he's held the tag championship 8 times. He's also a 2-time world champion, and his finisher is the J Driller. That is a double underhook pile driver. The most interesting thing to me that he's done in recent history is his real world champion angle. That started when he was stripped of the title because of a storyline injury. And when Adam Cole won the title in a tournament, he turned heel and attacked Jay Briscoe, and Jay responded by opening up the real world championship with him as the inaugural holder. For the next several months, they would feud back and forth with Jay trying to get the actual world title back. And though he would continue, he was never successful. But one thing he would always throw back in Adam Cole's face was that Adam Cole could never pin him. He would win by disqualification. He'd win through other various shenanigans, but never by pinfall. So to me, I think that was a pretty interesting angle. The next stop on this list is the tag team champions, and right now that is Team Red Dragon. That's Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly. Within ROH, they are 3-time tag champions, and their finisher is Chasing the Dragon. That consists of a vertical suplex lift. When you see it a lot with the monsters, the powerhouses, when they just hold a guy up in the air for 10, 20, 30 seconds. They only hold him up for a few seconds, while the other one gives their opponent a roundhouse kick to the head, and then the first member of the team will drop the guy in a brainbuster. It's a pretty neat sequence, I think. Red Dragon doesn't necessarily engage in a lot of story type angles, not really any to speak of at least, but they are a very good team, one of the better ones out there at the moment. And especially given the caliber of competition that they're facing right now. You got Bad Influence in ROH. Up till recently, you had War Machine. That was Hanson and Raymond Rowe, but Rowe was injured. Real life, not storyline. So, and a few other tag teams come across their way. So it's very interesting to see them in the ring. Moving on to the TV title. Right now, the TV champ is Jay Lethal. He's held the TV title twice, and that makes him the first ever ROH wrestler to do that. He's also a 1-time Pure Wrestling champion, but that is a defunct title. His finisher is the Lethal Injection. What's interesting here is that the Lethal Injection has been a few different moves over the years. When Lethal first started using the move, it was a pump handle sit-out powerbomb. Ever since he's returned to ROH back in 2011, the Lethal Injection has been a handspring cutter. And if you don't know what a cutter is, just think Randy Orton in the RKO. The RKO is a cutter. What Lethal does different is again, it's a handspring cutter, and Lethal usually bounces off the ropes to hit this move. You've got a few notable figures, both revolving around the main event and otherwise. A few of those guys are Michael Elgin and Adam Cole. Again, two great wrestlers. Elgin, he's the definition of powerhouse, and Adam Cole is pretty great all around. It, Honestly, I've been surprised that he hasn't quote unquote moved up to TNA or the WWE. He's that good. Other notable figures within ROH, Michael Bennett is one. Great wrestler. He has an old school style that he essentially learned from Brutal Bob Evans. That's a name that a lot of people should recognize, even if you don't follow the indies. He's been around for donkey's years, and he's trained a lot of people. So Michael Bennett is one guy to keep an eye on. Cedric Alexander is another. Very bright future for that guy, I think. He has all the potential in the world to do whatever he wants within wrestling. He's exceptional in the ring, I think. And the Decade is a faction that it's not at the top of the card, but it's influential in that it's made up of guys that have been in the company for 10 plus years. Right now, the Decade is made up of Roderick Strong, Jimmy Jacobs, and BJ Whitmer. Again, all mainstays within the company. AJ Styles is also of note within the company, but not for the same reasons. Whereas Michael Elgin and Adam Cole are at that level because they've been champions recently, AJ Styles is just that big of a name. ROH built him up as the conquering hero upon his return, and essentially he's been used in dream matches. Matches against Chris Hero, Roderick Strong. He faced off against a few other guys upon his return. Recently, he had a great match with Adam Cole. I'm not sure if ROH would put him in the title picture or not if they were able to, but for those that follow AJ, obviously he is doing a lot of work with New Japan right now. He's currently the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, their top title holder. So he's obviously got other commitments elsewhere, but right now I think ROH is booking him the best way they possibly could under the circumstances. All right, so that's the notable figures in ROH, title holders and otherwise. Now, I mentioned New Japan just a bit ago. Earlier in the year, ROH had a tremendous interpromotional deal with New Japan. There were a couple pay-per-views up in Canada, Global Wars and War of the Worlds, where New Japan sent over literally its top talent. Tanahashi and Okada. Just think John Cena and Randy Orton in terms of importance to New Japan. And also ROH has sent talent over to New Japan shows. For instance, Michael Bennett and Adam Cole recently formed a team called The Kingdom. And they went over to Japan and defeated Jushin Thunder Liger and Captain New Japan. That was a great match. It had all the elements that I look for in a match, with great wrestling, and Captain New Japan brought the comedy aspect. I love comedy wrestling. I'm a big fan of Colt Cabana, Eric Young, Grado. Any of those guys, I think it's great. So that was a great match for me personally. Now, if you don't know much about ROH, pretty much the first thing you need to learn about them is that they've always made wrestling the focus. When Ring of Honor was first founded, it was meant to mirror what you would see at the time with Japanese wrestling promotions. A lot of emphasis on wrestling, not a lot of emphasis on what we call sports entertainment that you see with WWE and to a lesser extent TNA. That spirit is pretty much embodied in what ROH calls the Code of Honor. The rules have changed to the Code of Honor a little bit over the years, but basically wrestlers shake hands before and after the match, and basically you don't engage in any funny business. Like, you don't attack the ref, you don't attack a guy with his back turned before the match starts, things like that. That's excellent in that a man like Michael Elgin or a team like Red Dragon can excel and be top guys in the company. They can be multi-time title holders. There's a little bit of a downside to that in that there's not really any incentive to improve on the mic when you can wrestle well. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Fortunately, ROH manages to compensate for that to a degree with managers. Seems like they're one of the few companies left that uses managers well. And a prime example of that is Truth Martini. Just think Paul Heyman if he was Armenian and kind of more of a hedonistic sleazeball. That you get Truth Martini. He's a very entertaining figure. Personally, one of my favorite managers ever. So all in all, if you're looking for a more wrestling oriented, more quote unquote pure wrestling product than the WWE or TNA, ROH is a great alternative for that. And it's eminently accessible for those who want it. You can watch ROH for free on their website, legally, 100% legally. The one caveat to that is that they generally delay the episodes, and that can vary from time to time. I remember a stint where the latest episode available on their website was a month old. Generally, though, you don't often have to wait more than a week or 2 weeks at the outside. And there's always the option of paying a subscription to get the episodes as they're released. But again, if you just want to watch ROH for free, you can do that 100% legally on their website. So that'll conclude this brief introduction to ROH. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more introductions like these to other indie promotions, give us a like. Or if you have any comments or criticisms to add, just speak up in the comments below. In the event that you're new to all things FTW, we do a weekly show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern about the wrestling world in all its laughable glory. I join Garvin and Joe to talk whatever's caught our eye in TNA and the WWE. During the show, we run a live chat where our hooligans, that's trademark, chime in and or heckle us as they see fit, so you should absolutely join in for that. If more traditional social media is more your speed, we've got communities on Facebook and Google+. You can find those in links below. And on Twitter, you can follow both the podcast at FTW Podcast and me at Atomic Deke, ATOMICDEKE. I think that's all the shilling I've got to do for now, so I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to be doing a lot more of these for you guys in the future. So stay tuned, and peace in the Middle East.